The phrase you used that I really, really liked was humane community. And I think that's, I want us to start using more words like that. I feel like if we talked more about shelters should be helping to create a humane community rather than shelters being fixated on being no kill. I've frustrated with those words for a long time because I believe shelters do a lot more than kill or don't kill animals. And so it's a kind of ridiculous term to my mind. Um, but it's been driving a lot of this because the public understanding uh, is that shelters should be no kill. That should be their goal. And it's a challenge. I just had a phone call last week with an area that they're having this problem. It's a large city in this country. Their animal care and control for 8 years has been run by a no-kill nonprofit organization that practices managed intake. So prior to the pandemic, through the pandemic, after the pandemic, and it's coming to a head because of the things that you just talked about, the stray population getting larger, causing more accidents, multiplying really fast. And they want to switch back, but they are struggling with how do they communicate that to the public. The public has this idea that this is what it's going to be. And so their question is, do we how do we get the public on our side? Because they fear that if they go to open intake, which is going to mean euthanizing animals, and that's, a hard truth that everybody needs to just wrap their heads around. They're terrified of backlash from the public. And in this particular city, the person ultimately responsible for that shelter is an elected position. So they're leery of doing it. So how do you think we go about convincing places that aren't as open to it as Athens was about going to open intake after having been managed intake for some time?
Well, I think that one thing we had going for us in Athens is while a lot of shelters have friends of organizations,
Hmm.
the nonprofit I started operates a little bit differently. So it started as a volunteer run webpage in 2001, which is
Oh,
incredible
wow.
to me. There was a volunteer who said, these animals aren't getting any publicity. I'm going to start telling their stories and putting their pictures up. And it was amazing. Those animals started getting networked across the country. Before I even moved to Georgia, when I was still in DC, I saw networking posts about from Athens Pets in
Hmm.
Georgia. And this was just an informal group. It wasn't incorporated, it wasn't anything, but it was amazing telling these stories. And that website acted as an interface somewhat between the public and the shelter in terms of, I hate to say it this way because it sounds awful, PR.
Right.
So if people were outraged about the shelter, there was a blog portion of it. They would vent on this blog. And the volunteers who were running that website did a really good job of saying, look, these animals need a place to go. And keeping animals endlessly when there's not enough space for them is not responsible. That increases suffering. And so, yes, they will get euthanized. So we need your help. We need your help in publicizing our animals. We need your help in adopting our animals. We need your help in rescuing and fostering our animals. And they did a really good job of that. And we continued that. When I started the nonprofit version of Athens Pets and rolled the Facebook, there was by then a Facebook group that was completely independent, rolled that into the nonprofit as well as the website. We kept that approach. And we get called murderers because we will publicize. If animals that have been publicized on our page are euthanized, we change their status and show that. We believe in complete transparency, but we field that anger a lot of the times. And as volunteers, I think we can better field that anger. And just last
Hmm.
week, I put out a statement because there was a day when 10 dogs were euthanized. And that is a really hard thing. And it's not great. And I can tell you that the live release rates are still really strong and everything, but the truth is there is a problem. And it's a growing problem. We're still dealing with the after effects of over reproduction um, during COVID and not getting caught up on those surgeries, and a change in mentality about spaying and neutering during that time that I think is really problematic from an overproduction standpoint. But we put out a post saying, look, it's not that these dogs were euthanized that we are objecting to. We think that euthanasia is that being open admission, bringing in the neediest animals, giving them food, letting them be free of stress, giving them medical care if they need it, giving them love, and giving them a chance, even if they end up euthanized, is better than not bringing them in and is better than warehousing them. That suffering is what we want to curtail, and that keeping animals in overcrowded, highly stressful situations where maybe they don't even get out of a crate every day That's unacceptable. And so, of the world of things, you can close admission, keep them in the community to get injured and die and hurt people. You can warehouse them. You can euthanize them. And we choose, of those three, we choose euthanasia at the same time as we are working our butts off with a free spay neuter program where we will spay and neuter anyone's dog or cat if they reside in our county, and any female dog or cat in any other county if the person's willing to bring them to us. We will do that. We will pay for that. So we're working to fix things in the community. We've got pop-up vet care clinics. Those have changed a little bit in nature, but the UGA shelter medicine program got a grant to continue those after I stopped doing mine. So we're trying to support our community while also communicate and fix those underlying problems that are leading to all of this, while still being the volunteer interface that says euthanasia is the right answer. If the pressures are such that the choices are close admission, warehouse, hoard, or euthanize, that
Right.
on the harm scale, and we will work to get the animals out. We work with rescue partners. We've done drop-in adoption events at the shelter where we paid for a local popsicle company to come out and give away free popsicles to make it a fun event, get people in the door. We will do what we can to improve the outcomes, but at the end of the day, we serve as the filter between the community and the shelter staff with respect to euthanasia. But that's also because they work with us and they communicate with us and they allow us to have a voice on their policies. We don't get to veto anything, but we get to discuss them and help shape them. And that's really important. And one of the things I forgot to mention when I was talking about open admission, one of the things that I think gets lost is that decades ago, we realized that if we told desperate parents, human parents, that you have to keep your infant or you have to have some lengthy process to surrender your parental rights, that harm came to those infants. And so every state has a form of a safe harbor program where parents can immediately and without judgment give up their children because that was the right answer for the children. In animal welfare, we pretend it's the opposite, that telling people be more responsible, take care of your pet, do it yourself is going to fix the problem. But when you're talking about really stressed, really overwhelmed people, I don't think that that's the right approach. I don't think it's the humane approach. And it's the approach that we know from people is the wrong approach.